everybody, Gina DeLuca here. All right, today I have a bunch of leftover paints here that I want to use up, and we're going to see what happens with them. So some of these are a mixture of paints, so I can't tell you exactly what it is or the mixture that is happening. This one here is titanium white mixed with this mixture, which was the result of a scraped canvas, and then when I have little bits of my background paint left over, I would add it to that. And so there is a little bit of shimmer to it. So there are some pigments in there. There's some matte pouring mediums and matte gel in there. So what is the recipe for that? I don't know. There's some Floetrol. There's some matte pouring mediums and stuff. Can't really tell you. Sorry. I forgot about this one here. So this here is the TriArt liquid mirror. That I can tell you how it's mixed. I added some of the heavy gel matte from Golden to that to thicken it up a bit, and then I added Floetrol. I am not sure what this paint is. I don't know if it's just paint, if there is satin enamel in there. I don't know. So I don't know how that's going to react. This is this little piggy constellation. And I believe that this was mixed with the Golden pouring medium matte and the Golden heavy gel matte. So what I do for that is I add the pouring medium to the bottom of the cup. I add the pigment, get that kind of dissolved into the pouring medium, and then I add the heavy gel in matte until I get a tube paint consistency, and then I add Floetrol to that. This here is the Folk Art Treasure Gold and Antique Copper, and I've just added Floetrol to that. It's about 2 parts Floetrol to 1 part paint. I do get some very cool cells with this paint, so I'm curious to see what's going to happen here. This here is the Light Blue Violet from Basics. I just, I want it to cover the sides, but once it's mixed with Floetrol, it doesn't cover as well to just paint the sides, so I just picked a color that was close to it. It'll be fine. It's close enough. The idea is not for it to have that show through at all, but if some canvas is going to show through, at least it's something that's in the same color family. What else do we have? This is Cottontail from this little piggy. I'm not exactly sure how that's mixed. All I know is that I've definitely used the Golden matte gel with that. Whether I used the Jo Sonja or the Golden to basically liquefy it, I'm not sure. I don't remember. I guess I should mark the paints when I put them away. That sounds like something that someone who doesn't have ADHD would do. Okay, so the consistency that we're working with. This is about a 2 on my consistency scale. It does make a mound, but it disappears quickly. It's making a nice, thin, even stream off of my stick. And if it gets thick and thin and thick again, the consistency is inconsistent and you need to keep mixing. Before we get started, have you seen the Fluid Art Inspiration cards? If you have, you can fast forward about a minute, but if you have not, what we have are 52 cards. There are 42 technique cards, and each technique card has an associated video here on YouTube that gives you all of the information that you need, the exact paint, brand, color, consistency, the recipe, the technique, all of the things that I can't fit onto a card. This is the picture of the painting in this video. This box contains a tip for this technique, and here at the bottom you have the color palette that was used in this painting. And then these 2 boxes can be used together as the basis of a 2-color palette. You can build off of those colors. And there are 8 bonus color palette cards. Each one has 5 color palettes. You can use all of the colors or just some of the colors. mix and match the bonus color palette cards with the technique cards, and you have more combinations than you could ever paint in a lifetime. These are available at my website, ginadeluca.net, and also at amazon.com. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is add some paint to my cup, some of that background paint. I like to make sure that I have enough for my pour. Sometimes I have a tendency to add too much to my canvas for the base coat, and I don't leave enough for the painting itself. And then that's a bummer. The reason that we lay down a base coat is because we want the paint to slide around evenly and easily. Something has to stick to the canvas first, and if it is not your base coat, it is going to be your poured puddle. And what will happen is the edges of your puddle will disappear because the center of your puddle is going to roll over top of it as you tilt. Some of the coolest stuff can happen on the edges. So I like to give myself as many options as possible when it comes to my composition. And you've noticed that I already covered my sides. That is because I want to make sure that I have coverage on the sides. This mix, as I mentioned earlier, once you add Floetrol to it, it doesn't stick to the sides very well. And it's a thin mix, so that doesn't help with the coverage on the sides either. So if I cover the sides first, whatever else happens, it's fine. I don't have to go back and fix it later, so that is my main concern, to save trouble later on, like troubleshoot before there's trouble, as I like to say. And I will come back and touch these sides up again before I tilt, because they do have a tendency to dry up a bit as it sits. Okay. Pop these bubbles so that they don't pop through your pour later on. You would be surprised at how many bubbles end up in your base coat. And that's the reason I like to use a color for my base coat that is in my pour. If I was using a different color and I had those little cells popping up, the bubbles come up, it brings the paint with it. And those little teeny tiny cells drive me crazy. Let's put some paint in a cup, shall we? I think I'm going to do this constellation first. Always check your consistency before adding to your cup. The sauce may thicken upon standing. I think I'm not going to do a lot of blending and churning. I want to see what happens here. I'm going to add a bit of the liquid mirror here. Not a lot. This stuff is very powerful. And Cottontail. And I may come back through with these colors again. We shall see. Let's do this mystery blue. Antique copper. I love this color, and I love the crazy cells that I get from it. I'm gonna do this other mystery blue, bluish purple here with all of the leftover paints. And the antique copper, which I am going to let sink a bit. Okay. And I will repeat some of these colors. Oh, start with the, get some of this more and this in here. I am not going in the exact order that I went before. Some of these I just want to use up. Bit more of the liquid mirror, which I will allow to sink a bit. And just a hair of the antique copper again. And now I'm just going to take a bit of what is left on this in this cup here. Okay, so I see a little bit of something happening in this cup. We'll see what happens, and hopefully it'll be pretty. Okay, so we're going to do a moving straight pour, and I'm kind of allowing it to do its majority of the sinking and churning on the canvas. And I'm going to come back up the center and do these wiggles because I get some really cool patterns when I do that. Moving slower and getting closer to the canvas as I get towards the end. I see some liquid mirror coming here at the end. So I'm going to do my best to be patient. And remember, the part that comes out of your cup last is often going to be your focal point. So it behooves you to be patient. Okay, woo! All right, got some cool liquid mirror popping up down here, and there's going to be more popping up in there. I hope I get to keep some of this antique copper, which sadly is a lot of that is on the ends. But that often does seem to pop up on its own as well. Just going to try to even out this weight a little bit, give it a little shift. It's going to go over the edge before I'm ready for it. That's just what's going to happen. So let's pop these bubbles. So what happens is when you have a matte paint and a glossy paint together, the matte paints will often create cells. And when it is lying in the underlying, the bubbles, these bubbles are on the underlying layers of paint, and you pop them and it comes up and it brings that paint with it, and then it reacts and you get some cool cells. Generally, I like to allow those cells to percolate. Let my paint puddle percolate, as I like to say. But I'm already starting to lose the edges a little bit here, so yikes. Yikes on bikes. So let me get my edges covered again, because this is where it could end up fighting and not going over the edge as easily if you have spots on the sides that are drier than you would like. It's good to freshen those up before you do your tilting. Okay. All right, let's give one more pop of bubbles. Okay, I want to try to keep some of this antique purple. So I'm going to bring out my corner catcher. And just do my best to try to not lose a lot of that. It's sad when you have to tilt it off, but you know, it just is what it is. As I said, sometimes the coolest stuff happens on the edges when you're doing a straight pour. I'll be able to keep some of that, hopefully. Get back in there. Okay. So, some of it's there. All right, and now for the slow crawl to the other side of the canvas. So the weight of your paint is going to be where the paint is moving the fastest. And if you are mindful of where that is, you can be pretty precise about your tilting. Again, bringing the weight of the paint back to center before I change direction there. Whee! Okay. All right. And now I must assess. I feel like that is still a lot of paint on this canvas. Going to try to tilt some of this off without losing that antique copper up there. Still gonna lose some of it. But I can't leave too much paint on this canvas or I risk it cracking. So also, it will take forever to dry. Okay, you know, let me redistribute this a bit, see how it's feeling. I think I'm going to press my luck and see what happens here. Hope it dries well. I kind of like this composition, and I don't know how I could tilt more off without losing some of the parts that I really like. So I am going to let this sit and do whatever it's going to do, and then I will bring you in for a close-up. Back in a few. Okay, here it is. This is partially drying. The edges have started to dry, as you can see. See that magical liquid mirror, the shimmer on that, even when it's dried and not varnished, is pretty crazy. But I did get some more of those antique copper cells did pop up. Very interesting designs in this piece, very 3D looking, kind of look like little aliens. But there it is. Wanted to mention, I do have an auction coming up this Saturday, July 19th, 2025, at 7 p.m. Eastern, right here on the YouTube. Look at that shimmer. Look at that shimmer. Isn't that crazy? That liquid mirror is actually like way more shimmery once it's dry. Yeah, so there will be an auction. I will have many paintings and even some jewelry up for auction this time. That looks so 3D. Wild. Do check out the description box below for links to my PayPal tip jar if you feel so inclined. You will find the link to my website, GinaDeLuca.net, where you can find my art and music and fluid art inspiration cards for sale. I'm trying to show you how this changes from purple to copper because that's super cool. Isn't that groovy? Also, in the description box, you will find my affiliate links and coupon codes. And, oh, please do like and share and subscribe. If you are subscribed, please make sure that you have clicked that bell. Something is amiss, and even though I have 165,000 subscribers, I am not breaking 1,000 views on most of my videos. And like less than 1% of those views is coming from subscribers. So something very, very strange is going on. So if you can help me get back in an algorithm by liking and sharing and commenting, that's super appreciated. And, oh, join our Facebook group. Go make some art. You can find the link for that in the description box. But yeah, join us there. Post your masterpieces, ask your questions, get some inspiration. A good time is had by most. It is the internet after all. Those things are really crazy looking. It looks like, you know, little globes. Something, or eyeballs or something. That's wild. Funky. This is a funky piece. All right. Well, I think that's it. I think that's it for me for today. I hope to see you at the auction on July 19th at 7 p.m. right here on the YouTube. And yeah, I think that's it. I hope y'all have a beautiful day. Now go make some art.